Good morning or good very, very early afternoon to everyone today. Thank you so much for joining us. We have Web Connect here doing a presentation on there must be 50 ways to place your order. And as we were just all reminiscing, and I don't want to steal their thunder, but they've been coming to Connect for over 10 years or 10 years, Andy, did we decide?
Yeah,
so
10
it's
years.
great to have 10 years. So it's great to have them back again this year. And they're always such a huge support of the user group. So thank you so much for that as we get started. Also, of course, the most important slide to me as we kind of get into Connect, of course, when we're really busy, is taking a moment to acknowledge our user group officers, and that's Sam, Tim, Ted, Mike, and Tony. I really just can't say enough about these gentlemen, and such an honor it's been to work alongside them for as long as I have. Every day I get to see their dedication to the group, whether it's responding to my millions of emails or emails from members as well. So thank you to them. They can all be reached at the same email address that they share, and that's officers@p21ww.org. One of the most common questions I get after these webinars is, how do I find out about webinars that are coming up? But also, of course, where to find recordings. So the easiest way to do that is to subscribe to upcoming sessions, which is in the online learning area of the user group forum. So if you go about a third of the way down the forum, you'll find online learning, click on upcoming sessions and go ahead and subscribe by email. And then you get those email notifications every time a new session is announced, but also when those recordings are available as well. Registration is still open for Connect, and yes, people are still registering. Even this morning, people were registering. If you want registration information, you'll find that on the user group forum at the top right-hand corner of the screen. You'll see that logo, and you can click on that, and that takes you over to the page with all the information you need about Connect. We are so excited to be once again setting a record. We have over 1,135 people coming to Connect this year. So such a humbling thing that so many people are coming and enjoying our conference. I'm excited to see everyone, and if you haven't registered, go ahead, there's still lots of time. I'm not sure if we're getting into SQL statements today. I will leave that to Andy to cover if we are, but also just a reminder to cover this disclaimer slide, because it doesn't just pertain to the webinars, but also to forum posts as well. And that is just a reminder that all the content you receive within the scope of the P21 Worldwide Users Group is being shared in a volunteer capacity, and you should take any and all information in the spirit in which it's being offered. Always use your Play database and test anything you learn before going live. And if you have any questions, reach out to the IT professionals within your organization, the presenter of the session, others on the user group forum, or of course, Epicor. Last, of course, is my contact information. I'm here as a resource to you. So if you have any questions regarding Connect, regarding P21 or your membership, if you have questions and you just don't know where to start, please reach out to me. I always apologize this time of year. It's awfully hard to get a hold of me by phone as we get closer to Connect. But if you email me, I do try to get back to everyone within 24 hours. With that, I'm going to take a moment and pass screen control over to Andy. And while he gets his screen up and ready, just a reminder about asking questions today. Our preferred method is to use the question feature here in GoToWebinar. That helps me keep all those questions together and let Andy know how much time we need for those questions at the end of the presentation. But please be sure to put them in as you think about them. If we need to pause it all to catch everyone up, we're happy to do so. But with that, of course, Andy, I'm going to pass this over to you and pop myself on mute because everyone hears me.
Hey.
Thanks, Andy.
Hey. Thank you very much, Cheryl. I really appreciate it. Cheryl is amazing. She pretty much single-handedly puts on the entire users group conference.
Andy, we've lost your presentation. Doug, can you hear me, or Yul?
Yeah, Cheryl, I can, and yeah, I'm not hearing Andy either. Let me see if I can reach out to him here in just a second.
Hello?
Hi, Andy. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. Sorry about that. Somehow, as soon as I started talking, it shot me completely after the thing. So I'm back in. Can you guys
There we
are
go.
you guys seeing me and
Okay.
hearing me again now?
Yes, perfect. Thank you
Oh,
so
all
much.
kinds of fun. Oh, thank you very much. But yes, so I was saying Cheryl does a great job with the users group, the users group every year. We're really looking forward to being out there again this year in Chicago. My name is Andy Garrett. I'm actually the founder of the Web Connect system, and I'm joined with my cohorts, Mr. Doug Bliss and Mr. Ewell Gatan. Both of them do various development and also business activities within the organization and lead our various teams. Ewell is the head of our native app development, as well as some other things out there with his teams, which I'm sure we'll be talking about a little bit today. What I'm going to go over with you today are the order entry systems that are available within Web Connect, and there are actually a bunch of them, and they do a bunch of different things. So, let's see if I can get this thing to promote. There we go. First, I want to tell you a little bit about what Web Connect for Profit 21 is. We've been serving the P21 community for over a decade. I think this thing actually got started somewhere around 2007, 2008. We've been 10 years a user group sponsor, as Cheryl has mentioned before. We love coming out there and meeting all the great people out there, great ideas that get given to us, and we develop the software and what we do based on the feedback and the requests of people, mainly from the users group conference. We do specialize in P21 and P21 development. So we're a P21 only shop. We do a little bit of custom development outside of P21, but it's mostly all P21. So the things that we think about them in a Profit 21 way. We offer turnkey and customized solutions for CRM and BI, for customer portal and customer connectivity. So we allow your customers to basically log in and work with their accounts and their data. We offer native apps for service. So if any of you people, any of you guys out there do service, we have some really cool native app stuff for those. And again, our native apps and our regular solution can be tweaked and customized for your business needs. We're working on a big service integration for someone right now that does some things very interestingly. We also offer native apps for vendor managed inventory and what we call customer managed inventory. So in a regular VMI setting, you'll have something where you go out and maybe replenish customers' inventory. But we can also, since we're offering this with a native app, allow your customers to basically go scan their own barcodes and do things like that, which is can be really helpful for you and the customer. We also do custom sales order workflow stuff. So let's say you need some kind of a solution that is slightly different than the way you would regularly place an order, something along those lines. We can work with that as well. So why would we want to use the Web Connect sales order system? So Profit 21 obviously is a web-based application at this point, has an order entry screen in there that people can use. So you might wonder why you would want the Web Connect system to do this as well. So one reason is you want to quickly facilitate customer ordering. So you're not going to let your customers log into Profit 21 directly. And if you don't have a B2B solution, or maybe even if you do, you want some way for your customers to place an order. Maybe it's a little different than you're doing right now. So Web Connect can be set up, tested, and in your customer's hands within just a few days. I mean, it's really, really rapid. So unlike a B2B solution that might take quite some time to get ready, you don't need to design a public-facing website. You don't need to come up with local literature, all that kind of stuff. So you don't have to come up with the images, item images, unless you want to. Item long descriptions, you can still add them in Web Connect, but they're not required. You don't have to worry about website branding or content, which can be forever to get going, or any kind of SEO kind of stuff, trying to get your website to rank higher up there on Google or anything like that. It's basically a turn it on, set it up, create your customers some logins, and give them a little bit of training on how to do it. It's really straightforward, as I'll show you here in just a little while, and you're off and running. Another reason you might want a Web Connect sales order system is you've got a B2B. which is great, and you've got people coming up there and using it all the time, but maybe you need some kind of custom workflow for specific customers. This actually comes up quite a bit, where you've got a B2B, but it doesn't do something that you've got a customer or several accounts out there that they need to be able to do. We can usually facilitate that. You want capabilities outside of the scope of your B2B solution. So one of the things we've got is kind of a neat system where you can actually use something like MailChimp to remind your customers to go out there and reorder. It's time to reorder. These are the things we think you need to reorder. And you send the email out to the customers. They click on a link, and it takes you straight into the Web Connect system, takes the customer straight into the Web Connect system with those items up and ready to order. And they can simply click a few buttons, fill in a few quantities, and submit the order, and it's off and running. So some neat things we can do like that, and that's just one example. So another thing about the capabilities is maybe you want to be able to order offline. Maybe your customer needs a way to order without being connected to the internet somehow. We offer through our native apps just that, the ability to create a sales order offline and then go ahead and process it through the system. Maybe you need to be able to scan barcodes and you don't want to use the Epicor solution for that for whatever reason. We can facilitate that. We can make it as easy as using your phone to scan these barcodes and create orders that way. Very, very simple. You don't have to have all the expense of the big barcode scanners, all that fun stuff if you don't want to. We can also facilitate barcode scanners if you want to do that as well. The reorder reminders, I talked about those a few minutes ago. Those are really, really cool. It's something we can set up for you, and it can really increase sales if you're interested in doing something like that. Maybe you just want to have a simplified order form out there for your customers, something that's very, very simple. They don't have to go through and add things to a cart. We offer basically a way to create reusable order forms that are very, 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 very handy. The customer can just log in, kind of like the reorder reminders, just click a few buttons and submit an order. They don't have to think about it. They don't have to forget about things. They don't have to make their own lists and remind themselves. So neat stuff. Another reason you might want to use the Web Connect sales order system is for your sales reps, actually. Yeah, I know they can log into P21, but some folks don't really want them to log into P21. Maybe you want to create quotes and orders for your sales reps, or maybe let them do that without using P21 licenses. That's exactly what Web Connect does. It basically lets your reps log in, search inventory, find pricing, look at costing if you want to let them use costing, all of that fun stuff without having to log into P21. You can use a simplified process on this. So instead of having all of the trappings of P21 and all of the different places you need to go to do things and all the functionality that's inside of Profit 21, maybe you want to provide the reps a really simple way to create quotes and orders. Web Connect does that. Maybe you want to, for the sales reps, have a buffered layer between the reps and P21 live orders. I know several of our clients that definitely want that. They would love their reps to be able to go out and create quotes and orders, but they really don't want them to go straight into P21. So Web Connect allows you to do that, and you can have an approval process. You can even let a manager for the reps approve the quote order inside of Web Connect before it even goes into Profit 21. You can also dictate that all orders that go into Profit 21 from Web Connect go in unapproved or as a quote. There's lots of different ways you can work with that. Another neat thing with the sales reps is they can work collaboratively with customers. So let's say you've got customers logging into the system and they're working on a sales order or a quote. They can actually do that too. The sales rep can actually open up that same quote and order and work with it as well. So they can actually be looking at the same order, the same thing online and actually work with it together, which can be really, really handy. And it makes Web Connect more of a business tool. It's a partnership tool with your customers, and I think that's really, really, really important. So I like to think of our clients out there as our business partners, and I know that a lot of you think of your customers as your partners as well. Another reason you might want to use the Web Connect sales order system is you want to reduce the burden or load on your inside sales and your CSRs. So these guys, I used to actually work inside sales at a P21 shop, and it is all kinds of fun, and you get all kinds of orders and quotes and all kinds of phone calls coming in, and it's great. You have to hire a whole bunch of us over periods of time, but if you can lower that workload by letting customers self-serve, why not do that? or let sales reps create their own quotes and orders, out in the field without having to log into P21. Those orders can then come into P21 and notify inside sales or a CSR. The inside salesperson can simply review it, make any changes, maybe order things or put however they need to finish up that order and get it really ready to go and do it from there. But they don't have to do it from scratch, which means a lot, believe me. And also, you can do this, the users can do this off hours and on weekends. So basically, customers, sales reps, whoever, it's 10 o'clock at night on a Thursday and they need to, look up some information, put a quote together, start something, they can do it, whenever they want to. It can be very, very beneficial, especially for customers. A lot of times they're trying to do things off of regular business hours when they actually have time to sit down and think about reordering from you. They can do this after your CSRs are gone for the day. And they don't have to just put it together in a spreadsheet and email it over to you. They can actually do it inside of Web Connect and send that in to you. So how, technically, this is kind of for your tech guys out there, how does the Web Connect system work? How do we place orders there? So these are our users. They can be reps, customers, or somebody else. We've actually had people use this system for third-party consultants that are out there that they're really not customers or reps, but they're just other people. So there's some interesting ways you can do that. And maybe they're going to use a smartphone, a laptop, desktop, or a barcode scanner. And what they're going to do is they're going to interact with the Web Connect UI. So what the UI is doing is it's feeding you information, and that information is then by using your users out there are pushing information back into the user interface in the form of an order form, maybe a native app, or maybe some type of a custom application or user interface that we put together for you. That information is then sent to the Web Connect server, which typically lives in your environment, in your network. And it goes through our Web Connect business logic, user permission and validation. So that's really interesting because what we've done is we've provided this additional layer of business logic that we can use and permissions and validation that Web Connect takes care of on our server before it ever goes to P21, that we can feed that information back to the UI, let the user know what's going on before this ever goes to P21. We handle a lot of this information and a lot of this decision making the way you want to set it up. And you can set up different users with entirely different permissions. So one user may have the ability to change pricing. One user may have the ability to see costing, never customers, but another user may not have either one of those. After Web Connect gets this, we store this in our own tables and structures. But when you're ready, you send that order into Profit 21, either through the import process or possibly through the APIs if you want to do that. So what we do is we send that over in whatever format that might happen to be. And then P21 does its business logic and validation against that order information as well before actually going through the process of fulfillment and sending that order on in or processing that order as it would be. And then all of this information, once you have the order in P21, gets fed back through the Web Connect system as far as information goes and can be sent back to the user for their review inside of Web Connect as well. So you're not only seeing the Web Connect version of the order, you're seeing the P21 version of the order. Web Connect sends out its own notifications. P21 sends out its notifications. And the systems work very, very cohesively in order to make the order process really, really work well. So with that, let's see if I can get out of this slideshow. I'm going to show you a little bit about how the Web Connect system works. So are you guys able, I'm assuming you're able to see my dashboard here. This is a typical dashboard of the BI CRM system. It's where most people log in. There's a lot of information here. These could be customized quite a bit to do all kinds of neat things. The view that I have up right now is simply a dashboard that I have set up for myself. But you can customize these. There's all kinds of ways to do it. But I wanted to start here because this is typically where a person would start to work with an order system. Now, it doesn't have to be. You can actually set it up to where your default screen is an order entry screen or something along those lines. But the typical way, or one typical way that, say, a sales rep would create an order, or even a customer, would be simply to go to the New button up here and say New Remote Order. And we call them a remote order because back in the day, at least, you did these remotely, and it was different than doing them inside of the P21 system. So this brings me to a fairly straightforward screen. It's a simplified kind of order entry screen. It's not overwhelming. It's very easy to understand and learn for most people out there. I'm looking at the screen as I would as a sales rep. This very same screen is available as a customer login as well. Only it's even more simple than this. There's less to look at. You don't see information about costing or customer or classes or things along those lines, but you do get the tools that can make this very, very powerful. So what you do in order to start any order in the system is you first select a ship to. So in this case, I know a ship to is 10315, my favorite customer out there. And when I enter this in, it's going to go out and look in P21. Hey, is there any order notes? Yeah, we got some mandatory order notes. So it's going to pop these up to remind you of these types of things that are going on. Now, if I didn't know my ship to ID, I can simply search for it. You can search by a wildcard up here. You can also search by ship to name or customer name. So if I wanted to select a different ship to or a different customer out here, I can easily do that by searching for those. I simply typed it in this case. If you're given permission, you can select different sales location and source location. Again, that's a permission-based thing. Customers do not have that permission by default, for instance, but you can actually give it to them if you want to. I can select contact, go search for my contacts out here. Who have I got? I'm going to select Chris Crosby at this point. So this will be the contact that is on the order when it goes into P21. Interestingly, you can add additional contacts here beyond the contact that goes into Profit 21. That comes into play if you're going to email out this quote or order from Web Connect to these to your customers out there or anyone else out there that's a contact in P21 if you want to do that. You can do that before it ever goes into Profit 21. So you can actually send them a nice PDF of the order that you're putting together or quote, and you can send that to more contacts that are actually on the order inside of P21. So to start the order, I can also add a PO number if I want to, put the job name in. This customer is set up to always use a contract pricing, so it automatically selected a contract here, selected the terms that the customer is set up with. It's going to default a required date to today, but you can actually override that and set up a default, a different required date if you want to do that. You can always toggle between quote and order. And it's interesting, you can actually toggle that after you have added a bunch of items to it. You can start as a quote, send out emails on it, and then if you want to turn it into a sales order instead, you can just uncheck the quote button here and it's done. You have the option, if you're given permission to import it approved or not. The default is to import it approved. You can even do an RMA here if you're given permission to do that thing. The first thing after you set up all the header information on one of these orders is probably just going to be to start adding items. And you can do this by, if you know the item. So I happen to know this one item because I remember this item ID for some reason, DAQ-6. If I type this in, it's going to go out into P21 through that flow chart that I showed you earlier, through our web server, and then to the P21 server. It's going to go get the item, based on the item ID, it's going to look up the item description, the extended description, and it's going to calculate the P21 pricing. So this is the unit price that it brings back in P20. It's the same one you'll see in Profit 21. It's customer specific. If you were to type this inside of P21, you'll get the same price. From here, I can change the quantity if I want to. If I had multiple unit measures, I could change that. I don't on this particular item. And if you're given permission, you can change the price. I'll leave the price alone at this point. I'll just save it in. If I don't know what the item ID is specifically, I can actually search for it here. So maybe I want to look up something that's like a pump in my world. So I search pump. I can select stock or non-stock. And by the way, you can limit users down to only being able to search stock if you want to. There are additional search things you can do. So I can limit my search text to certain item IDs, customer part numbers, item description, alt code, short code, and decide which location I'm going to look for. So I search. And after I search, it's going to bring back some pumps. And I'm just going to guess it's this first one, but you can obviously search this a little bit more if you want to. So it's a fairly robust search process. And now it's going to go out and find this item and calculate pricing. give me my item description, extended description, and this guy's only $12.72. So in this case, I am going to change the price. I'm going to make it $14 because I think this guy needs to pay a little more for this and save it in. When I save this in, notice that it gave me a check for a price override here. So it's notifying me that this price is not the default price on this item right here. And I can do the same thing if I go to edit this item here as well, or this one over here. I can change the pricing on this guy. I can even calculate the price by profit percentage, which a lot of people like to do. Notice I can also add another extended description in here, and this will just append whatever I put here to the current extended description. So that could be really handy if you're wanting to put something in that shows up kind of like an item note, but it's more of an description type thing. I can also add item notes if I want to. So if I want to add one or more item notes to this, I can, and they'll go into P21 as item notes. While I'm on the line item, I can move it down or up. So maybe I want to go ahead and reorder the things that are on here, or change the order that they're going to be on the order as it goes into Profit 21. I can do that here. I can see the item info. This is interesting stuff. So if you're needing to see it, you can see information about the item, what's on hand, allocated, back ordered. And again, a lot of this is permission driven. I'm showing MAC and standard cost here. You can hide these if you want to. You can show only MAC. You can show only whatever costing method you set up your users for. Customers do not see costing. So you can go from there. There's a little bit about item order history. He hadn't ordered this, but let's see if he's ordered. I know he's ordered this. This DAQ6. So this is all the recent times this customer has ordered this. They usually order 2 of them. Sometimes they order 4 of them. Here's been the unit price. So this just gives you some validation. And this is interesting, I think. So I can see that the costing went from 145 to 152, but the pricing is stayed at 208.50. That may be because of a contract price or whatever it may be, but it gives me this information so I can make a decision on it. So I know the costing has gone up. Well, heck, maybe I want to raise the price on this one as well. So I can do that if I want to as well. Once I've made my changes, if I want to, I can just save those in, or I can undo them by hitting the cancel button. So I'm going to go ahead and save them in, and it'll put my my items this way. So this is one way to add items to an order, but there are some other ways that are a lot more efficient and a lot faster. And these are available not only to your sales reps, but also to customers as well, with some caveats. Obviously, you don't show costing and other things to customers, but they're with this bulk add system. So you can bulk add items to this order, either through the sales history, through an existing quote or an order, from contracts, if you guys have contracts set up for your customers. And we haven't shown them yet, but there's also a concept of a quick order form and a quick order template that you set up inside of Web Connect. You can add items from those, and you can also import items from a file. The import items is really kind of neat. It's very simple. All you really need in order to import items into Web Connect and create an order is either the item ID or the customer part number. So if you just have that in a spreadsheet and you bring them in, it'll default the unit quantity, it'll default the unit of measure, and it'll go calculate the price. But you can import all of these if you want to. And if you import all of these, then obviously you can even override the price by importing that. So imagine you've got a customer out there and all they want to do is send you a big spreadsheet of their part numbers for whatever reason. Instead of having to key all that information in, you can just import them through Web Connect. And also the customer can do the same thing if you grant customer logins to do this. So it's pretty neat. Right now, though, I'm just going to do it from sales history. So what this is going to do, this is going to go look at the sales history for this customer. And it's going to default this by the total sales in dollars, but you can sort this different ways. Maybe we'll look at it in total units. You can then filter this by a start date. You can choose to show components, which is kind of interesting. You might want to, I don't know, for whatever reason, put a component of an assembly on a sales order. You can do that. You can filter this by item IDs, by product groups, or by suppliers. But to add the item, all you really need to do is put some quantities in here. It's really quick. So let's just imagine they're wanting to order these guys. Here's the CC items. We get 5 of these. And you just basically search and filter, put in quantities, and then just add the selected items. When you do this, it's going to go out and try to calculate pricing, look at everything, and it's going to mark these as on the order here. So if I go back to the order, now I can see all those items are added in, and I can see the total amount of my order up here has changed as well. So it makes it very, very quick to add things to an order. And if you're thinking about your customers and their ability to reorder things that they've ordered in the past, it can make it a lot more efficient for them. because they can see right there that, yes, this is the item that I ordered, not some other item that seems similar. This is the one I order all the time. They can quickly add it in, see what they normally order, all that kind of stuff. Adding items from a quote or an order is pretty much the same thing. You just go out here and you're going to look for a quote, or an order, and I'm going to select this guy right here. There were 3 items on it. I can simply put in the quantities I want to reorder and go and add them to the order, just like I did with the bulk add from sales orders. So it's very, very flexible. Same thing works from contracts. You just go select a contract, like my 123 PPG out here. Here are all the items on the contract. I can simply go and add them from that. Makes it very fast. Quick order forms, same kind of an idea. I'll show you those in a minute. And quick order templates, same kind of an idea as well. So once I have all the items that I want to on the order, I can do some things if I'm given permission, like go to shipping, and I can change the ship to. So by default, this is not open, but you can open this up to your certain users if you want to, where they can actually change where this is going to be shipped to. You can also take a little look at some information about the customer. You can see customer notes, that kind of thing, view customer opportunities. You can actually create a new P21 opportunity off of this this remote order, this Web Connect order, which is pretty neat. Or you can link this remote Web Connect order to an existing P21 opportunity. So that's pretty neat as well. You can define classes, and in Web Connect, you can actually set up default classes and either allow your users to change them or not. So I've got 2 classes set up, and they're defined as quote order source and quote order segment. Those are my classes that I've got set up. In this case, you can do VMI orders, and I can set something else up as well. Now you can set up defaults for these and make them not editable. So in this case, maybe I want to set up where all my class 2s are going to be, all my class 1s are going to be VMI. I don't let people change that. And that way, every time an order comes in from Web Connect, it's going to have that order class on there. You can add order notes, as many as you want, just like you could in P21. Add them in, make them mandatory if you want to, and that'll go into P21 as well. You can see information about the sales reps. This guy is going to have 2 reps on it. Kenneth Pittman is the primary. If you want to, you can add attachments. So that means you just upload a file. Maybe I've got some kind of a source quote or something like that, some source document that the customer sent me that I want to attach. Or maybe if I'm a customer, I want to attach some kind of spec sheet or some kind of additional information, maybe a picture of the actual item I'm wanting to make sure I've got it right. You add that and it goes into Profit 21 as an attachment as well. And it shows up in the email. When you actually send this order into Profit 21, one of the things by default that it does is it sends emails to your back office personnel. And it also sends emails off to the customer and any contacts that you put on here and the sales reps. And it'll send this as an attachment as well. And beyond that, you have some edit info that I will just show you what's going on here. So when I'm ready with this order, all I really need to do is confirm it. So I click the confirm button and it says, hey, this will complete the remote order and send it in for import. You want to continue? And I'd say, okay. And it looks at it and says, wait a minute, this order requires a PO. So it's going out to P21 and it's saying, this customer wants a PO on everything. So we're going through the P21 system to figure out which way to do these things and make sure they come in right. So I can add a PO number. I'm going to put 123 on here. Interestingly, even if the customer doesn't require a PO in P21, you can set each user up inside of Web Connect where they require a PO. So maybe you've got a customer you're going to set up that they're going to use the Web Connect system to place orders, and you want the logins for that customer to put in a PO every time they create an order in Web Connect, because normally if they were to call in, the back office person might be creating the order, they set the thing up, but then they're going to call back and get a PO. You can do the workflow differently and require the PO from here. So now I got the PO sitting on here. I can simply convert this. Oh, by the way, I can make it a quote now if I want to. And I can uncheck the import approved. You can do these things kind of on the fly if you want to, and it's going to save your changes as you go. So I'm going to go ahead and confirm this. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and view something, our remote order listing, basically our queue. I'm going to go look at that. Let's say I'm working on this order and I decide I need to go do something else. I need to go create an opportunity. I need to go look at my calendar, whatever it might be. and then I want to come back and work with this order. So I can do that by simply going to my remote orders, and then it's going to be this latest order that I'm working with right here. My PO is 123. It's going to tell me the total of it right here, how many line items, what if it's inside a P21, it'll have a P21 order number, its approved status, whether it's completed, the validation status, that type of stuff. But this lets me get back to all my orders very easily that I'm working on. If I want to delete it, I can do that by clicking the little button here, but I'm not going to do that right now. So just click this, open it up. It's going to give me my mandatory order notes again. Then I can continue working with this order. When I'm ready, I hit the confirm button, and away it goes. And it is now going to be in Profit 21 soon, had I had the import system set up. So it's now in sent status. If you're hooked up to P21 in the back end, this is going to be, it's going to say received, and it's going to have the order number and all the information about P21 on here, but then just a few seconds usually, excuse me. So another way that we can, yeah, there's my order summary. In fact, let me open this up. So I don't know if I can get to it or not. Yeah, so here is basically the order that I just sent. So it's got the basic order information, and a lot of people in back office and the customer would have got something along these lines. Here's some terms of condition that you might want to you add to your emails and your orders, so they're on this as well. It gives you a quick summary. And this is a version of the PDF that I will show you real quick. So this is kind of a quick version of the PDF that gets sent out to everyone with all the information on there. And you can manually send that before you confirm the order as well to let people collaborate and work with the order. So that's how that workflow works. So another way you can create a sales order inside of Web Connect before we look at VMI type of stuff is to use the quick order system. So what the quick order is, this came up actually way back in 2009 or 2010 as a way for a client of ours to create order forms to do a version of VMI that didn't require barcode scanning. What they wanted to be able to do is set up customers and ship-tos with forms, reusable order forms that all the employee for the customer had to do is fill in quantities. Kind of like we did just a few minutes ago when we were bulk adding items to an order. You can do that by setting up these order forms, and it has the same items on there all the time. And I'm going to show you a little bit about one real quick. So I'm going to grab this guy, this Advanced Automotive 19 line 10 order form. It's got 40 items on here. It doesn't look like I've used it since back in June of 23. But I'm going to go ahead and edit this real quick to show you kind of how these things are set up before I actually show you how to use one. So when you set one up, you select a ship to and obviously a customer. You give it a name, and you can change the name anytime you want to. It just makes it easier for people to understand it. You can store a PO number with it if you want to. You can add a job. You can select a contract. This customer doesn't have any contracts. You can put items into groups to make them easier to find. And you can say, well, what's the title of my groups? Are they shelves or are they product types, whatever you want to. So you're just a way to create groups. You can enable bins, which is just another way to find the item or to identify where the item, maybe it's where it's a put away bin for your customer, and it shows up on the emails and the forms as well. You can enable min-max and OPOQ. That's kind of cool because you can basically go through there and say, hey, this is how much I think you ought to order all the time. Gives the customer or the sales rep the ability to kind of see that information real quick. You can select the replenishment method, and right now I've got this set to OPOQ, but you can also do min-max if you want to. And then you can select the form type. This is a little more advanced, but typically everybody sets up order forms, but you can have a requisition only form. And basically what that does is just emails information to another person in your customer's organization that they need to order this stuff. And it's just a way to put an order together, then somebody else can come and work with it. Forms have items on them. So in this case, I've got my group selected as shelves, and I can go to my gloves, and these are all everything that I've got set up on my gloves shelf. I can move these around if I want to, change what order they're going to appear, change by min-max, edit all this stuff. There's even ways to override the default P21 price. So this is the P21 price, $2.623. So let's say I want to give these guys a deal on this whatever item it is right here. To if they buy it online, I'm going to give it to them for $2.50. All I got to do is come over here and change this or edit this, and I want to go ahead and override that price by clicking this, and then I'm going to put this as 2.50 and save this in. And now I'm giving the customer a deal every time they use this. They see this item right here on the form. It'll send that as a price override when it goes into P21, so it's pretty neat. I can search the items by filter, exact type, all that kind of stuff. I can also add a default contact. I haven't done that yet, so I'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to make Bob Hoover the default contact. So every time I use this order form, Bob Hoover will be notified. Also, every time someone uses this order form, I can automatically email the ship to sales rep, back office if I want to. I can include pricing on both of these guys. And if your ship to is set up with an email address, and you can do that actually inside of P21, you can email a default ship to contact. You can also add as many other emails on here if you want to. So maybe at your customer's location, they've got 3 or 4 people that always want to be notified whenever an order is placed through this form. You simply add the email addresses in and hit go, and they're in there. It really makes it handy when somebody's creating an order to notify a bunch of people that it's in there. You can add the items one at a time, kind of like on an order form. Most people use the bulk add items, kind of the same thing as adding items to an order form. An order, you just simply go through and add them from a quote or order or sales history or whatever you want to do, and they'll show up on the quick order form that way. This is where you define your groups. So in this case, you could add more groups, move the items around within the groups, all that kind of stuff. Shipping, we can override the default delivery instructions every time someone uses this form. Freight code, carrier, this was interesting. We have a customer out there that uses trucks as sales locations and basically, or inventory locations. And basically they wanted to make the source location for each form a truck. And that way the items would be sourced directly from the truck instead of from a warehouse. The default for the ship to is going to be one of the locations, but they wanted to make it a truck in this case for that type of stuff. You can default order classes, again, kind of like you can on the sales order form that we looked at earlier. This one, again, is set to VMI. And you can even change the location setting. So I can change the default sales location and source location on this if I want to right here. So when you have everything set up, this is what it's going to look like inside of the quick order form. This is what the end user will end up seeing. So all I have to do is I can go to my gloves again, and pretty much like adding items to an order, you can just put in quantities and then hit add items from gloves. And those items will be added to the order. You can see the items ordered over here. I can adjust my purchase order, add order notes, look at my contact information. Sometimes that's, depending upon user permissions, overridable or not. By the way, these forms also, on each user, a per user basis, you can grant the ability to see or not see the unit price and see the price override or the quantity available. Where that is interesting is maybe you've got a user at your customer's location that should not see pricing for whatever reason. Maybe they work in the warehouse, but they need to reorder stuff. They can simply use the form to reorder things without having to see the pricing. But you have another user, obviously, in purchasing at your customers that needs to see pricing. They can see pricing. So a lot of ways to configure the system. It's 11:45. I don't know, Cheryl, were there any questions at this point?
Yeah, sorry, I had myself on mute. Yes, we actually have a few questions if you'd like to take them now.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. I haven't really talked about VMI, but I can do that later.
Okay, so let's start with the first one. Do you have a sample of a simplified customer order form?
A simplified customer order form. Yeah, if you look at just our regular order form, so I'd have to log into a customer real quick in order to show this. But imagine, if you can, just this form with almost nothing on it, except for the basic information they need in order to create the order. A quick order form is also a very simplified order form. And another version that I do not have the URL to right this second is a reorder form. And the way that works is, I mentioned it earlier, that you can, there are ways we can set up to send out an email that's an order reminder. And it's very simple because it's just going to have the items that the customer is tagged to reorder and quantities and show them the last time they ordered it and shoot it in from there. It just makes it very, very, very simple for the customer to use without having to jump through a bunch of hoops.
Well, that actually leads into the next question is, can a customer form default to frequently added items, so they just have to fill in quantities?
Yes, absolutely. That's what the quick order system is, and also the reorder form. So if I'm looking at the quick order system, and I've got one of these over here, these can definitely just be the items that the customer orders on a regular basis. And then you can put those into groups if you want to, or however you want to do it. They can look at all of the items at the same time, and then all they have to do is throw in the quantities. You can dictate these, what the reorder items are. You can also open it up to where your customers can build these forms themselves and organize the items to where they make sense to them, however you want to do it. My personal recommendation, especially when you're first starting to work with customers on this stuff, is to build them a couple of forms, kind of handhold them, work with them, and make sure that they're getting things going the way they want to. And then if you want to be talking to your customer a lot and find out what they want to add to the form, if that's part of your sales process and a part of your customer relations process, then make it to where you're the one who works and edits and updates the form. That way they need to call and talk to you every time they're going to add items to it. If you've got a big customer out there and you want to give them a lot of power, give them a lot of power. Let them build their own forms, all of that fun stuff, and go from there.
Okay, another question, if you don't mind. Can customers put RMAs in, or only sales reps?
You can allow a customer to put an RMA in. It is not the default setting, and I don't know too many people that open that up, but you can. It is possible.
Okay, another one. Can you use the existing Crystal reports forms from P21?
Not at this time. Not at this time. We can clone them pretty closely if we need to, but we do not use the workflow that Crystal. Well, let me take that back. I would have to run that by Ewell. He's our API specialist, and I would imagine there's probably a way we could tie into the Crystal reports, Crystal forms through the API. But I would need to run that through Ewell to make sure. The default's just use ours.
And we have a question that's suggesting you talk about being on your local host.
Being on your, yes. So we are a part of, we are on your network on this stuff. So it's directly integrated and tied into P21. So when you're looking at pricing or item information, it's real time, customer information real time as well. So it's a direct integration into Profit 21. It's not, we don't pull the data off remotely and work with it and come back and read it half an hour later or whatever. And it's a lot faster that way too, and a lot more performant. Hopefully that's what they were asking.
Well, they were talking, I think, about being an offline product, that it worked offline as well.
Yes, the native apps, and we haven't really gotten to those, but we do offer native apps for placing orders as well. Typically, that's in a barcode scanning situation where you're going to offer vendor managed inventory or customer managed inventory where they scan barcodes, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. And the benefit of that is a lot of times you might be in a customer warehouse or whatever it might be, and they have limited access to internet for whatever reason. They can use a phone, and before they actually enter into while they're online, they can download all the information onto the phone in order to be able to create the order. And then go ahead and scan barcodes, create the order, and then when they get back within internet access, they can then process the order from there. It doesn't require docking up or anything along those lines. It simply resyncs when it has internet access automatically, and when you're ready, it goes ahead and we click a button, and it'll go ahead and add the order into Web Connect, where it can be sent to P21.
Did you want to go ahead now and talk about the VMI part?
Yeah, and that's kind of where we're at. That's a great intro into that. So the VMI apps are really neat, and they can be customized in a number of different ways. So all the hard work and the heavy lifting has been done. You can basically look at, if you want to get a hold of us, we're happy to demo a one-on-one, the native apps, talk about how you want your workflow to go. Do you want people to scan items only? Do you want people to be able to look up items in real time? Do you want to show pricing? Do you want to be able to add multiple contacts? How do you want it to work? We've got all the plumbing in place to basically do it pretty much any way you want to do it. It's a tried and true and tested solution. The native apps can be Android or Apple. Either one, show up in the App Store. You can allow your customers to download it. You can set it up in a number of different ways. Our lead on the native apps is our fellow Ewell Gatan, and he is very capable of putting these things together for you. So if that is the solution that you need, let us know and we can get that set up for you.
If you want, I have two other questions here.
Sure.
Is this functional on-prem versus cloud?
It's on-prem.
Okay. And implementation time?
About a day. To get the main Web Connect system set up only takes about an hour. I will need to, after that, kind of walk through and show you how to set up some forms, do some training along those lines. So if you can get all that kind of set up within a couple of days, that's fine. You can honestly have a customer set up and ordering with the system within just a few days. Usually what you'll want to do is play with the system for a while yourself, create some orders, explore the user permissions, which I can walk through with you. And there's a bunch of different ways to set up what people see, what they can do, all that type of stuff, how the system's going to work. If you're going to use the order import system, which most people do, figure out how often you want it to import the orders, all that kind of stuff. And then when you're confident, you set up a couple of test customer accounts, play with it from their perspective for a little while, make sure you're comfortable with the way everything's coming in. Then you can put it in the hands of a customer very, very quickly. So it's our implementation and setup time is I think Doug's record, he's the one who actually does the installs for us, is somewhere below 45 minutes. I think he had a concert or something to go to. So he can really knock it in pretty quickly. Then it takes a little bit of time for the training. Whenever you guys want to set that up, I usually recommend an hour for the first round of it. And then again, just getting the customer set up and going, and you're ready to go.
Well, we are caught up on questions and we still have a few minutes left. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I guess there's a few other things we can mention here. It's really interesting. I know a lot of people out there do have a B2B solution, which is wonderful. And I definitely recommend having one because you need that public-facing UI for attracting new customers. And some people are very, very comfortable with just using the B2B solution in order to place orders. Our solution is more of a direct business partnership or integration. It gives your customers a window into your Profit 21 world and makes them feel more like a business partner. And being able to collaborate with that and your sales reps and being able to work off the same information, see the same kinds of screens without having to just send them some kind of an order and then having you email something back, it can make a big difference in the way your customers think about doing business with you. So I think it's a very powerful solution. We've shown a couple of ways to do orders with the order form and the quick order solution. There are more than that. And if you have some type of a custom workflow you need, some kind of hey, I really need my customers to be able to do this, and I don't know how to get that done. We've been doing the orders system like this for well over 10 years, and we can definitely accommodate. And so if I would love for you to get a hold of us. See if I can find my PowerPoint with our numbers and our email address. I won't even bother. Well, I guess I better go ahead and start it real quick. So from the beginning, you can reach us at our numbers down here. I should have put something bigger together. P21Connect.com. Call us at 816-841-4183 or email us at info@p21connect.com. We would love to hear from you and go from there. I didn't get a chance to talk about it, but there was another workflow I was going to put together, but I got to talking too much. We offer these Outlook add-ins that are really cool, so you can actually interact with your P21 data directly inside of Outlook. And that's another really neat workflow. So you open up an email, somebody's asking for some information, you can basically open up the customer account inside of Web Connect and start an order directly from the email. So some neat stuff we can do there. Please get in touch with us, and we will be happy to show off some of those things as well.
And of course, I'll see you in just over a week, and you will be at Connect.
Just over a week.
Just over a week, and we'll see you. And of course, you can do demos there as well.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe how fast this is coming up. But I'm looking.
I know.
Beautiful Chicago.
Very, very excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have a great time. Chicago. It's going to be fun. We're going to have all kinds of fun. I can't wait to see you, Cheryl. Can't wait to see everybody and hang out with everybody again. See Hippie Scott. I haven't seen him in I guess since last Connect. So I look forward to seeing. Hopefully, a lot of you are coming out to the conference as well. If you haven't, I strongly recommend it. It's a great event. You will learn a ton, and not just from us as a vendor, but from all the classes and all the other people that present out there do a fantastic job. It's a quality thing to do. So, all right. Hopefully, I'll see some of you out there, and hopefully, some of you guys will give us a call and let us continue this discussion for your organization.
Well, thank you again. Thank you to your whole team that's been here and very quiet the whole time. I'll see them all next week. And for everyone who's on the call, we have one more webinar a little bit later this afternoon. And then we're taking a little bit of a break as we all go to Connect. And then we'll be back again in September to do sessions again. So go to User Group Forum at the top right-hand corner. You'll see a little hamburger icon. There's a calendar hidden in there. And that's a great place to see the webinars that are coming up, especially after Connect. So thank you again, Andy. I will see you soon.
Thank you very much. See you in just a little while. Have a great week.
All right. Bye.
Bye, guys.